the world of Tanks Blitz, it is a well-known fact that evolution and adaptation are the keys to survival. Yet, with every new update, the balance of the game is put to the test as developers seek to enhance the gaming experience while ensuring the vital equilibrium remains intact. However, since the deployment of Update 9.1, the very essence of our beloved game seems to have been challenged. The balance is wavering, and the fun we've known and loved appears to be on the brink of collapse. Autoloaders, once a tactical option, now a dominant force, outperforming other armaments and leaving little room for those who dare to go against them. A game of tactics and precision has quickly turned into a run-and-gun free-for-all, the likes of which we've never seen before. In today's video, we will dive deep into the trenches of Update 9.1, taking a hard look at how this powerful addition to the game has disrupted the battlefield in ways that are irreparable and, yes, very controversial. So, strap in, buckle up, and get ready for an in-depth analysis on how World of Tanks Blitz's Update 9.1 has altered the landscape, challenged the fun, and jeopardizes the balance we fought so hard to maintain. Let's roll out. I felt like this video needed a proper introduction. Normally, it's a happy welcome to the channel, I'm your host. But when it comes to autoloaders and the balance of the game, what wargaming devs decide to do massively impact our daily lives and experience as we play this game. And the more and more distorted our fun becomes, the less, even myself, I want to play this game. Today, I'll be showcasing to you just how broken autoloaders are and how they completely are destroying the balance and fun for the average player in the game. Wargaming, if anybody that works there is watching this video, please take into account what I am saying and don't take it just as flat negativity towards your company. I understand that you balance the game to be more fun for everybody, but the way that the game has been balanced from Update 9.1 is flat destroying the fun for the majority of players in the game. I'd be willing to say that the changes you've made are as drastic as bringing the Sheridan missile into the battlefield. Let's get straight into it. Since Update 9.1 to current day Blitz, autoloaders have been getting consistently buffed over and over and over, and it honestly baffles me. In my videos, when I cover the buffs, I'm usually quite happy and showcasing what the tank's capabilities are. But deep inside, I know that these are not good changes for the game. It allows people that are not nearly as skilled as other players to get away with playing worse, but getting rewarded with higher damage numbers. Whether you're rushing a player that's in a hull-down position, doing everything right in their capabilities, and then a full health autoloader just rushes right over the ridge and completely punishes that player, even if the autoloader dies, it has still absolutely crippled the player trying to do their job correctly. Let's take a look at the autoloaders and how they have been changed. Let's start off with the changes that occurred in Update 9.1 and work our way up to present day Blitz. Starting off, we have the T-57 Heavy. This vehicle got the addition to Shell Reload Boost, a consumable that allows you to dump your shells in your magazine 30% faster than you previously would have been able to. That means that the T-57 Heavy that already has a tremendously fast interclip of 5 seconds can now deal its 1200 clipping damage in 3.5 seconds. That's right, the same time that it takes the average heavy tank to aim its shell in, a vehicle like the T-57 Heavy can already have taken 1,200 of your hit points away. The M6 received two pretty big buffs. It got reticle calibration if you're running the double shot. That means now I can have almost zero dispersion when using the double shot gun, instantly hit my shells, and with the 1.72 second interclip, deal 900 damage before our opponent even knows what hit them. But if you're running the triple shotgun, not only can you have 3,000 damage per minute, but once again, we got Shell Reload Boost. So now the vehicle can deal 3.5 seconds, 900 damage with the 3000 DPM. So the M6O just got a flat buff not only on its DPM, but damage capabilities whether you're running the double shot or triple shot gun. The 4005 already had shell reload boost, but what it was given is an additional shell in the clip for a slight nerf on the Alpha. Now yes, the gun does deal less damage per shot, but what it deals in return is the ability to deal 1640 damage in a matter of around 4.5 seconds. That is absolutely ridiculous. Not only does it deal the damage faster because of shell reload boost, but the vehicle also received a flat, faster intraclip from what it previously used to have. So the 4005 just became flat deadlier. Out of all the autoloaders in this list, I truly believe that the Boss Shotdown 25-ton is really the only well-balanced and perfect vehicle for somebody that is pretty decent at the game. It's a tank that, if you don't understand how to drive, is absolutely awful, and you'll probably do terrible in. But it's also a tank that, if you use correctly, can be one of the most enjoyable tier 10s available. The Batchat features a very solid 3000 damage per minute. It features great dispersion, but pretty poor penetration and not the best accuracy for really what it is. The Batchat features great view range, fantastic mobility, and even shell reload boost, allowing it to get out that quick burst of damage if you need to at an early game situation or a late game situation. Overall, the Batchat is very well balanced because of the fact that even though it does have pretty good damage output, it's balanced by the fact that it has very poor armor and absolutely awful gun depression. When you try to work this tank on a ridgeline, everything that has hull down capabilities is easily going to be able to deal with you. And the only real way you're going to be able to clip somebody is if you get a flanking maneuver. It actually requires you to think about what you're doing, not just being able to YOLO, which is not the same case for the next vehicle, being the AMX-50B. This tank has been buffed over and over. First of all, in update 9.1, the vehicle got a reduced alpha from 400 to 380, but as an addition, it got an extra shell. Okay, a lot of people say that it nerfed the tank because it had worse DPM in the long run, and it dealt more damage, yeah, but it took longer to deal it because the intraclip didn't get better. Well, Wargaming said, haha, not so fast, and just the latest update. Not only has Wargaming made it so all the shells are loaded instantly in the beginning of the battle. That means the long clip reload that this vehicle has of 23.89 seconds now doesn't feel nearly as long, judging that you get your shells free in the beginning of the game. Not only that, but the 50B received a faster intraclip, which was a 3 seconds and now 2.7. That means you shave just about 1 second off, or 0.9 to be exact, which is still pretty big. That means you gained a second on your overall DPM, now sitting at 2844 rather than the 2750. So the vehicle has more DPM now. The vehicle has a faster intraclip than it previously did. Oh yeah, and Wargaming also buffed its reverse speed to now be 18 rather than 15. So the 50B is just flat more mobile. It's got flat great DPM, and it's got crazy good clipping potential. It's so good that comp teams are using it again. So yeah, I really can't say the 50B is bad at all. In fact, for a player that doesn't understand how to play the game, they can just YOLO right at the beginning of the battle and dump somebody's health down to a one-shot. TVP 5051 is a 50B, but even more broken. This vehicle, in update 9.1, got a faster intraclip. It went from 2 seconds to 1.5. Whoever at Wargaming thought this was a good idea clearly was smoking coke. I am still completely just amazed and blown away that this tank has not been nerfed yet, but Wargaming keeps saying they're not going to nerf it until the end of the year. So, okay, guess we'll wait another 5-6 months. The TVP is able to deal 1240 damage with no special consumables in 4.5 seconds. This is a medium tank. It's able in just 1.5 seconds to deal 620 damage, the same as a tier 10 tank destroyer. The vehicle also features insanely good dispersion, ridiculously good aftershot bloom, crazy good mobility, good gun depression, and even troll armor. Overall, it's an absolutely mind-boggling tank how dang broken it is. And once again, in the latest update, you have all your shells loaded now, which means you can play very aggressive even in the beginning of the battle. The Caro 45-ton, a vehicle that was very well balanced previously, has now become one of the best tier 10s available. The vehicle now features all 4 of its shells loaded in the instant of the battle beginning, which means that normally what would have taken you 45 seconds to load all of your shells, now you get instantly, and you can just play raid aggressive frontline with not only your massive alpha superiority over the rest of the mediums at 380, but you also have fantastic gun depression at 9 degrees, and if you shoot the vehicle single shot and you play it smart, you have 2,850 damage per minute. Overall, the Caro is an absolute menace to society, and if you use it correctly, it can be one of the deadliest tier 10s available. The Kron got an intraclip buff, what was 3.53 seconds is now 3 seconds, so it just deals its damage flat faster. And once again, you get all of your shells loaded at the beginning of the game, allowing you to be quite a bit deadlier, at least early game, on maps like Himmelsdorf, maps like Normandy, maps that allow you to get very quickly into the front line like Desert Sands. And that's the exact same case for the Minotauro, now once again loading all of its shells directly in the beginning of the game. All of these tanks have been buffed since their initial debuts. And yeah, I understand that tanks do need to get buffed from time and time again, but imagine this, Wargaming. Instead of making these vehicles just flat better in every aspect over and over and over, you just balance them, and, I don't know, balance all of tier 10 rather than flat buffing them. But let's take a look at just how busted autoloaders are with some gameplay. I would be willing to say that for the average player, dealing 5,000 damage is quite a rare instance. Probably 1 out of every 100 games you'll get a 5,000 damage battle, which isn't bad. It's a lot of damage. You should be proud of that. Even for a player like myself, I'd probably say it's every 1 out of 10 or 15 battles I'm able to pull out a 5,000 damage result. However, that was clearly not the case for my T-57 Heavy today, as I performed 7 games in my T-57 Heavy with an average of 4,667 damage. I also proceeded to play the FV2 and 5B, a vehicle that features more damage per minute, and the WZ-132-1, another tank that features more damage per minute, and not only did I have higher win rates in those vehicles, but I had lower average damage. I featured 3,200 in the WZ-132-1, and I featured 3,300 in the FV2 and 5B. Both of these results are still very, very solid for the tanks I was driving, but nowhere near the results, almost 1,300 less in the FV2 and 5B compared to the T-57 Heavy. And if you think these games were luck, think again. I'll be showcasing to you all of these replays, and just how dang broken the T-57 Heavy is, and as well other autoloaders. If you're still skeptical that I was able to perform all these games one after another, you can see my battle results right here. We have my first 57 Heavy game on Black Goldville, then followed by Alpenstadt, moving on to Helles, Lagoon, Naval Frontier, Normandy, and finishing off with Nube. Add all those up and you'll get 7 battles. Those are all the games I've played in the vehicle today. So let's start off all the way at the bottom of the pack on our Black Goldville replay. We were able to deal 5,100 damage in this game. And the crazy part is that even though this game didn't really seem like we did a whole lot, again, I did 5,000 damage this battle. That's a pretty dang high number of damage to deal. I want you to imagine, instead of being in a T-57 Heavy, let's say I was in a T-110E5, or how about a Super Conch like Flossie's in? How about an IS-4? I want you to imagine, in the exact same situation, swap my tank out for any other single-shot vehicle. And I want you to imagine the results we would have had, and not only in this game, but any of the other games we've played. I can tell you for a fact that there is no way I would have been able to deal as much damage as I was able to in any of these games, because of the fact that this tank is just so dang stupid with its damage capabilities. So, up against us, we got some strong tanks. I mean, we do have a 50B, IS-7 is quite nice, the 268's a pretty solid vehicle, and I'll be real, I'm actually going to skip the beginning part of this game, because not much happened. I bled some health, I played it kind of bad. But now at this point, at about 2 minutes in, we start to pick up the gameplay. We bounce 1 shell on the IS-7, but that's fine, we still penned 2 other shells. At this point, we've dealt 1,200 damage. I penned 1 pen early game for 440, and then we were able to deal 800 damage just then. Okay, so we're at 1,200 damage with about 2 minutes done in the battle. You can imagine that I probably wasn't expecting all too much at this point. I was thinking, well, how the heck am I going to deal a lot of damage in this game? Where's my best, juiciest target to rip apart? Now, I really was hoping that Skoda was going to drive out in the open, and I was going to be able to clip him 1-2, and he'd be dead. It's kind of crazy to think that that vehicle with 800 health is just 2.5 seconds away from being completely dead. But our Leopard is going to play a bit aggressive here, and this Leopard is going to give me a pretty decent chunk of damage. Because what's going to end up happening here is the Leopard's going to poke the IS-7, and I was kind of hoping I could shoot the IS-7, but what actually ends up happening is the Leopard spots the Vickers light because the Vickers shoots him. So at this point, I'm going to aim it on the Vickers track wheel. We're going to get 1 easy pen into his track wheel, 2 easy pens into his tank. Unfortunately, we do not end up tracking him. I was really hoping we could, because that Vickers probably would have been dead at this point, but you know what? That's fine. We're up to 2,000 damage. The enemy team still has 6 vehicles left. And even though our team isn't doing all too fantastic right now, all I need to do is chill, let my clip reload, and we'll be able to get some damage out. So we can see we're down to T110E4. Ooh boy, yeah, our team is not too healthy. Our E50 is a one-shot. Our Contra Car 1 Mark II is not very healthy either. Their team is definitely higher in the hit point department. But a 1,300 health IS-7 goes from 1,300 to... wait for the last shell. Kaboom! 530. Yes, you just watched that. A tank that was at 1,300 health just got dumped to 530, and because of that, my teammate was able to finish him off. Once again, autoloaders just being able to deal a crazy amount. I was able to take about 900 hit points off that IS-7 by penning 2 heat shells, and then just firing an HE. It still dealt 150. So, at this point, we got a Centurion 7-1, a Yag Tiger, and an AMX-50B up against us. Okay, well, let's see. The Yag Tiger's in front of us. Unfortunately, my on-movement dispersion kind of lets me down, and the first shell doesn't pen, but he misses me. And because I'm in an autoloader, I can just shoot 1 and 2 shells into his tank and back into cover. We're now up to 3,600 damage. Can you name any other vehicles in the game apart from autoloaders you can just sit in the open after missing your first shell and take an additional 700 hit points off of whatever you're shooting at and again, get them killed because of that? I can't. Again, autoloaders just showcasing their superiority over any other tank. So at this point, we got the enemy 50B in front of us. I'm going to activate my interclip boost and we're going to get 1 shell into the enemy 50B. Okay. Alright, let's pretend we're a single shot tank, right? Let's say we're an E6. So I get 1 shell into the 50B, and I'm probably reloaded at this time. I get 1 shell into the enemy 268. You know what I'm not reloaded for? The Centurion 7-1 that probably would have killed my tune mate. So, because I was able to be in an autoloader, not only did I have 2 shells to dump into my opponents, but I still had a 3rd additional reserve shell that I was able to kill the enemy Centurion with, which then was allowing Flossie to kill the enemy 268, and not only kill the 268, but as well finish off the enemy AMX 50B. This game alone, being in the 57 Heavy, allowed our team to win this battle. And it showcases just how, if I was in a single shot tank, I guarantee we wouldn't have won this. There's no way I would have been able to deal as much as I did to the Vickers Light. There's no way I would have been able to save Flossie. There's no way I would have been able to dump the Yag Tiger. There are so many situations in this game, like shooting that IS-7, that I would not have been able to deal the damage output I was able to. And because of that, we came out with a victory. I dealt over 5,000 and Flossie got a pretty solid 3,300. Okay, that's our first battle. Our second battle is going to be performed on Hellas. Up against us, we have a 114 SP2, an AMX 50B, a F2 and 5B 183, 2 Grill 15s, a Cron, and a Mouse. Okay, well, let's make our way into the front line once again. Our team doesn't have the best players, but that's fine, because we're in an autoloader. And the whole thing about an autoloader is your teammates bleed health so that you can farm off of them, or at least that's what I think of an autoloader. If my teammate gets shot by, let's say, I don't know, the enemy Mouse, I can then poke that Mouse in 5 seconds, deal 1,200 damage back in the cover, and I'm winning that trade. Up against us is a 114 SP2, a tank that has 620 damage per shot. My tank has 400, yet, because that tank took too long to reverse, and it wasn't even the player's fault, I was able to out-trade that player, dealing 778 damage. Just alone there, I won the trade already. Just 2 shots, showcasing where the 57 Heavy is quite insane. Now, not everything is amazing, because that 114 SP2 is then able to poke me and deal a pretty solid chunk. But, once again, 1 shell, 2 shells. So that 114 SP2 pokes me to deal, what, 1,200 damage? And in return, I've dealt 1,500. I mean, he's still losing the trades. And it still shows that even a vehicle that has alpha, a vehicle that has hit points, is still losing to a tank like the T57 Heavy. So at this point, we got 6 more seconds left, and we have another shell ready. Or another 3 shells ready, should I say. I was a little worried that somebody was going to poke off to my side, but as we can see, the Cron went over here. I actually told Flossie, I said, I'm just going to go for it. I don't really care if they shoot me. What is it going to affect me? So I poked the Mouse. I got 1 pen into his lower plate for 414. I shoot 1 shell at his turret cheek, and unfortunately he's over angling, and then I actually bounced another shell. Honestly, that's on me. I could have aimed in those shells a little bit better, but I'm also glad that I shot them, because if I didn't, that 114 SP2 would have bonked me and I would have been a one-shot at this point. So, yeah, sometimes it's not always the best. The Mouse armor actually worked pretty well there, I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised the turret was able to get such a good angle on it, but it's fine, because now we're just gonna shoot the grill. Let's track the grill to make sure that it can't back up, and there you go. He's dead. And now we get a nice shell into the enemy Cron. That's another 1,200 damage we've been able to deal in just 5 seconds, and we're up to 2,900. good. So, not a bad result at all so far. We've been able to deal damage, we've been able to support our team. Okay, 6 more seconds, we got another 3 shells. Now again, I want you to imagine, in this battle, we were in a single shot take. We were poking the 114 SP2. Just imagine, in this situation, we were in the exact same game. By the way, this is pretty funny. I shoot that girl with an HE shell because I was kind of hoping it would deal enough to kill him. Unfortunately, it didn't, but it's still pretty funny that we shot the girl's gun barrel and was able to deal a 42 damage HE shot. So, pretty crazy there. Alright, at this point we've dealt 3,500 damage, but because we're in an autoloader, we're not done yet. The Kron is off to the side, the 114 SP2 is off to the side, and all that's left is an enemy, FE2 and 5B 183. Okay, well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flank off towards the rear. I know that I don't have enough health to frontline engage with these players, but I also know that I can just get behind them. The Kron's not looking at me, so I get 1 shell into the Kron because I like damage. I get another shell into the 114 SP2, and I finish off the 114 SP2 because I know it's a pretty decent player, and I should clear him. 183 bounces somewhere off the back of my tank. I don't know how, but he bounces us, and unfortunately we don't get any more damage out just because of the fact my shell bounces the 183. Yeah, pretty bad luck, and we end up dying, but hey, we still did 4,482 damage. If I'd penned that shell on the 183, we would have dealt close to 5,000 again, but oh well, we still did pretty dang solid. I can't complain. Well, there's our second game in the T-57 Heavy. Again, I want you to imagine we were in a single-shot vehicle. Would we have been able to deal that much damage? Simple answer, no. There's no way we would have been able to deal that much damage to the 114 SP2, to the Kron, to everything. There's no way. It's just not possible. So, let's keep on going. We've taken a look at, 2 games so far? Alright, let's move on to our 2 defeats. The first one we have is on Hellas. Now, this defeat on Hellas is... it's a pretty stock standard game, honestly. We should have won this. It was definitely down to the Progetto at the end of the game, which you will notice. So let's skip a little bit ahead to where the action actually starts. Alright, here we are, 30 seconds into the game. Up against us, we got a VZ, we got an IS-4, IS-7 in the back. Okay. Pretty normal stuff. We got the VZ chilling in front of us, and our FE2 and 5B decides to do the classic 40%er YOLO, and that's not great. You're going to notice our 2 and 5B literally just full speed YOLOs the VZ. Now, I'm not going to push in there. I know as an autoloader, I have limits on what my tank can do, and even though I have good DPM, it doesn't change the fact that I cannot just YOLO in there. So, I'm going to let my super comp, which is FlobZ, and my 2 and 5B push on that VZ, and wow, my 2 and 5B is already basically dead. Well, that kind of sucks, and now the Minnow and IS-4 are also going to push in here. Now, this is the perfect example of where the 57 does great. I'm going to farm off of my teammates' misery. So, here we are, we got the Minnow, and he gets shot once. Now we got the IS-4, he gets shot once. We're going to aim in another shell on the IS-4. Unfortunately, it bounces, but I just wanted to make sure I could dump my shells, and again, not bleed any health. Now, once again, this is a perfect example of the toxic relationship autoloaders have. My T110E4 is going to bleed hit points so that I can farm his damage. Think about that. He's going to take shots for me, and I'm going to farm damage off of his hit points he has bled. Doesn't that sound real teamwork-like? But that's the playstyle of an autoloader. So, my E4 bleeds 400 health, and in return, I deal 1,200. And now I back up once again, and I let my E4 bleed another 400 health. Doesn't that sound real teamwork-like? Doesn't it showcase how fair and balanced autoloaders are, and how fun they are for teammates to work with? If I was in that E4's position, I would be quite salty, because not only is this 57 Heavy farming off of my hard work, but at the same time, he's not taking a single shell for me. But can't really blame me. Why would I take shots when I don't need to? So at this point, we're up to 2,800 damage. We got the E100 off to the side, the Minnow. I see that the Minnow is the main target I'm going to go for here. I'm worried about base cap, but at right now, it's 690 to 650, so I'm not, like, super worried, but uh-oh. Now it's up to 750 because one of my teammates dies. Uh-oh! Now it's up to 810 because another one of my teammates dies. Well, there's no way I'm getting to the base cap at this point, so I gotta kill the Minnow. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3 shots into the enemy Minnow. There's no way he could have ever combated that. Again, imagine I was in a single shot vehicle. That Minnow probably would have been able to turn around and probably shoot me not only once, but maybe twice or even 3 times. At this point, Flossie's telling the E4 to get A, but unfortunately, it really doesn't matter too much. We got a shell into the IS-7 once, and another shell into the IS-7, finishing him off. And now we got the E-50M. E-50 turns his turret to the side, and I aim the shell just a teeny bit too low on the upper plate. That is my fault. Unfortunately, because of that, we actually end up losing the game. But still, I don't know what the heck our prog's doing. The guy takes so long to get behind this E-50, then he, yeah, I don't know. Either way, unfortunately, this game is a loss due to supremacy. Sometimes you love supremacy, sometimes you hate it. This game, that prog literally took half a second too long to kill that guy, and because of that, we end up losing the battle by 5 on base cap. I can't really say that was a loss. That was definitely a victory on at least the results of the game. It's just a bit unfortunate that we did end up losing the game, but hey, we did 4,900 damage, so I can't really complain. Even on a defeat, I did a pretty solid job farming off of my teammates and getting out a pretty crazy result. Again, can you imagine me doing that much damage if I was in a single-shot vehicle? No? Well, let's keep on going. We're only a couple games down. After our Hellas game, we go on to Lagoon. Lagoon is the brand new map. This game where you're able to deal 4,870 damage. A game that was literally a defeat right from the beginning. You're going to watch just how fast the game falls apart. First of all, I get incredibly unlucky, but watch this at the beginning. IS-4 drives out in the open. 1, 2, and 3. That is 1,254 damage we have just dumped into the enemy team. Let's be real. That shell from the 183 was incredibly bullshit. I don't like to curse, but that was bullshit. I mean, that 183 snapped me while barely only seeing the roof of my tank hitting directly on the gun and penning. The chances of that happening were about a 1 in 1,000, and he managed to do it. So I guess good on him. Our tank is now down to 900 health. Now, that's not the fault of the autoloader. That's just the fault of bad RNG. But hey, we still did 5,000 damage this game. So let's see how we're able to combat this absolutely trash situation I've been handled and come out with a pretty solid game. So we got the 113. Oh wow, this is pain. I can already see the entire enemy team is just going to completely envelop on me. I'm going to back out of here. One of the big downsides of American tanks is their awful reverse speed. And yeah, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where that reverse speed's going to be the death of you. But hey, the 113 pokes. He gets tracked once, he gets tracked twice, Flossie tracks him again, and there you go. That 113 just lost about 1,800 health, and we're up to 2,500. Just like that. 2 clips, we're up to 2,500. Just imagine we were in a T110E5 in the exact same situation. That 113 would have only bled 800 health and backed in the cover. And that IS-4 would have only bled 400 health. I never would have been able to shoot the 183, and I never would have been able to shoot the other shell into the IS-4. Again, I probably would have been at maybe 1,200 damage in my E5 in this position. But now, that's fine. We're just going to aim it on the T110E3. There's 1, there's 2. Unfortunately, the third shell kind of fails me and hits him in the gun mantlet. I don't even know why, but just a bit unfortunate. But hey, we are already up to 3,300 damage. The T110E3 completely fluffs his shot, which allows me to once again reload my gun. Flossie gets a nice shell into the E3, a massive 500 damage HE, and there we go, 1 shell into the T110E3. Flossie finishes off the E3, and at this point we got the enemy IS-4 off to the side, but doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, we do end up dying, dealing 3,766 damage. Not a bad result at all. Actually, I think I lied. I think Flossie dealt 4,800 damage in this game. Yes, Flossie dealt 4,800. We did 3,766. Now, in this battle, being an autoloader didn't make a huge impact, but you can still see where we were able to absolutely clip in the beginning, where we were able to dump into that WZ-113 and even take off a pretty solid chunk into that enemy T110E3, only getting really unlucky by my shells low rolling. And let's be honest, the only reason I even died in that situation was because that 183 completely beamed on us with one of the luckiest shots I have ever seen. So at the end, yeah, the 57 still did a fantastic job. If we were at the same health in that situation in an E5, and we only had 900 hit points after the game had just started, there's no way we would have been able to deal anywhere close to what we did in that game. But again, we're not done. Let's keep on going. So what game did we take a look at there? That was on Lagoon. That was our defeat. So we got 3 more games to go. Now all we have are victories, and pretty solid victories at that. I'm pretty sure that 3,700 damage game is the lowest battle you're going to witness me play in. So at this point, we are going to make our way over towards the crossing. Up against us, we got a mouse. We got some big old bad boys that we might be able to get some shells into. So Let's see what we can do. We got the IS-4. Okay, let's shoot at the mouse. I activate my shell reload boost, which in retrospect wasn't the best. We shoot a shell at the mouse. It misses, unfortunate. Shoot another shell at the mouse. It misses, unfortunate. Not only that, but then the mouse hits me. So, yeah, we're actually not doing too well right now. A single shot tank probably would have been better off because you would have gotten one shell out, and you probably wouldn't have bled any health as you would have been on reload and cover. Okay, well, not the best situation ever, but don't worry, it gets quite a bit better. First of all, we got the Leopard, who we get one very easy shell into. Alright, again, single shot tank would have been in the exact same situation here. We're probably going to start reloading our clip. Yes, we are. Now, at this point in time, I have no shells that I would have been able to hit if I was in an IS-4, a Super Conk, heck, even a WZ-113. It would have been those two shots. I just wouldn't have bled the little bit of health that we did, but that's fine. Let's see what we can do here. We can see the grill off to the side, but the grill's not the opponent I want to shoot at. First of all, we got the IS-7 crossing. Nice 425 roll into his tank. Then we got the enemy VZ. There's a 395, and we got the VZ again, who we get another nice 400 tap into. Now, we do bleed quite a bit of health. We probably bled about 1,000, but we still came out on top. We're up to 2,000 damage dealt at this point, so I really can't complain. Again, the auto-loading gun on this tank just allowed us to absolutely farm some damage. Now, this moment you're about to watch in front of you is how broken Shell Reload Boost and the T-57 Heavy is. I can see this Leopard 1 is not looking at me, and I was waiting for this Leopard specifically to overpoke in a way that I could use my Shell Reload Boost to kill this player. So, the Leopard has 1,187 hit points. Watch how fast this Leopard dies. 1, 2, 3. That Leopard was not even able to repair its track before we were able to finish it off. That is stupid. It is absolutely stupid what you just witnessed. We are now over 3,000 damage, but don't worry, we already have another clip ready. So let's just make our way down here. Let's see what we can shoot. We got the IS-4. There's one shell into the IS-4. I don't want to waste too many shells on him, so let's go shoot the mouse for our final shot. Nice 419 roll. Just like that, we've dealt 4,390 damage. I mean, every game is just damage after damage after damage. Even though Flossie did a pretty solid result, he had to absolutely work painstakingly hard to deal that damage. Where I just farmed, I just pressed the fire button a couple times and got away again farming off of Flossie's hit points. Doesn't that sound like such a fun take? Alright, well, that was our Naval Frontier game. How about we move on to Normandy? This is a 5,260 damage game. Let's see just how I was able to farm all of this damage. Right at the beginning of this game, you're going to notice the difference between what a single shot tank and what an autoloader can do. Up against us, we got the T100 LT and an FE2 and 5B. Okay, well, let's put on my shell reload boost. There you go. 1 shell, 2 shells, and 3. Alright, well, we took 700 off of the 2 and 5B and 400 off of the T100 LT. Even though my shells kind of low rolled a bit, still fine. We did 1,065 damage. That's a crap ton more than I would have been able to deal with any single shot tank, and look at that. We have bled 0 health in the process. Now, because I have realized that pushing towards the top of the hill with a tank that doesn't have much haul down capabilities might not be the best idea, how about I just get to the side of the E4? Alright, there's 1 shell, 500 roll, 2 shells, 431, and 3, 440. Just like that, we went from 1,000 damage to 2,437. Again, imagine we were in a single shot tank. There's no way we would have been able to deal that. There's just no way ever. We wouldn't have made nearly as big of an impact as we have. Alright, well, we got the Type 71 down low. Let's make our way to this tank. We already have our shells loaded anyway. So here's the Type. There's 1 shell into his tank and 2 shells into his tank. And let's see if we can get that 3rd shell. Oh, wow. That shell did not go where I wanted it to. It went right onto his upper plate rather than the corner cutout. But you know what? That's fine. We are already up to 3,200 damage. Just that quickly, we've dealt 3,200. And now I've realized that the Type 71's a waste of my time, so I'm going to make my way over towards the T-62A and see if we can get a farm here. So my Object 268 is going to rush him, and at this point we do have our shells loaded. Alright, well, let's get 1 awkward bounce on his side, but that's fine, because we got a 2nd pendant, and we finish him off anyway, so doesn't really matter too much to me. We're up to 3,700 damage. Alright, let's keep on going. We got the Object 268 version 4 and the IS-7 left. Now, imagine I'm in an E6. At this point, I've just made my way over towards the IS-7. Obviously, I can't shoot him because he's hauled down, and the V4 is also basically in cover. I can get 1 pen into the V4 with my E6, or I can get 2 pens with my Well, actually, almost 3 pens. I thought it was 3, but I did not pen that last shell. But I got 2 pens into that 268 version 4. Again, could I have done that in a single shot tank? No. There's absolutely no way. I might have been able to shoot the V4 now, but the player also has a shot, and I could have died for it. But that's fine. We're just going to ignore him at this point. IS-7's going to poke over the ridge. We're going to go for 1 tracking shell. Unfortunately, it doesn't track him, but that's fine. We'll just get a heat pen into his tank, and there you go. 5,261 damage, just like that. Again, there's no way that a single-shot tank would have been able to deal as much damage as I did, and influence the game as much as I did. I took that full health E4 down like 1,400 health. In fact, we took 1372 off that E4. A tank that has 2,000 hit points was from full health to like 500. That tank is crippled after I'm done with him. That 200 LT, crippled. 215B, crippled. I mean, we're literally just wheelchair simulator out here. Next up, we have the New Bay Battle. This is a 4,700 damage game. Okay, this is another fantastic example of an autoloader just absolutely beaning on the enemy team. So, in the beginning of this game, I decided I was going to go town. I'm sick and tired of going up bridge and getting absolutely crapped on because nobody wants to support me on bridge, so I'll go town and do my job here. What are we going to see? Well, we see somebody at base B, and I was expecting somebody to poke this corner. So there's 1 shell, 2 shells, and 3. Just like that, you watched 1,113 health disappear off of the enemy K91. That is a full health tank that we have just absolutely obliterated. In the process, Flossie has missed 2 shots. The first one, unfortunately, missed, and the second one, he didn't have the reload for. So, in the amount of time I was able to deal 1,200 damage, Flossie had the opportunity to deal 400. Yeah, doesn't that sound fair and balanced? Equal tanks, right? Autoloaders really showcasing their strengths. So, we get a nice max roll into the K91, and just like that, we're up to 1,600 damage. Now we've got the mouse, who my first shell misses, very unfortunately, and yeah, we're not really able to do much to this mouse, so I've realized it's a waste of my time to deal with this player. As an autoloader, you get more opportunities to think about what you're doing because you're spending a lot of your game reloading. So, instead of waiting there, as a single shot I probably would, I'm going to try and make use of my DPM. I see the 5A, I see tanks off to my side, but the main clump of damage I see right now is right at base B. But, oh, look at that! A Grill 15, a tank destroyer. Well, that's fine. I'm going to take a full health Grill down to 400, another 400, and another 400. That full health Grill is now sitting at 514 health, and I'm sitting at 1,500 health. That seems really fair and balanced, doesn't it? Wow, what a fair take. Again, there's no way a single shot tank ever would have been able to deal that. Even a tank like an E100, which deals a 960 HE, that tank probably ran Spall Liner. I would have only dealt about 800, which is still, what, 400 less than what I did to the Grill. Now we got the Yag. I'm not going to waste my time dealing little bits of damage. We're just going to shoot a full clip. There you go. Now we're up to 4,156 damage, and we just, back in the cover. Flossie gets a nice kill on the T-57 Heavy, and at this point, we got the mouse, we got the Yag. Alright, well, Flossie, unfortunately, he gets obliterated by the Yag. But that's fine, because we got 3,000 DPM, we get 1 shell into the mouse, and we just overmatch his upper plate because we got that much heat pen. 4,700 damage dealt. What you just witnessed was 7 consecutive games in the T-57 Heavy, totaling 4,700 damage. Did any of that seem fair and balanced? To me, that seems like a literal cakewalk. There was not a single game that I struggled even remotely to get out damage in, and that is what autoloaders have come to in this game. Why would I ever drive a single-shot vehicle, especially one like this WZ-132-1, when I can drive a TVP-5051, have the same mobility, more gun depression, and a gun that can absolutely ruin your day, or drive a 4005. In this moment here, I was in platoon with Batchat Begins, and Batchat wanted me to keep the 4005 spotted, so I took about 1 or 2 seconds to keep him spotted and shoot him twice. In that amount of time, the enemy TVP has driven completely over the ridge. And I mean, literally, this TVP is sitting on the flat, open ridge, completely exposed to everybody on my team. And yet, unfortunately, Batchat is on a reload and doesn't even notice the TVP the entire time. And while that's going on, my other teammate in the 121 is so focused on the 4005 that this TVP gets to deal, for free, not only 900, but 1,328 hit points to my WZ-132-1. I didn't play my tank over-aggressive. I did not put it in a bad position. I put my tank in a fairly decent position. The TVP put himself in an absolutely terrible spot, completely exposed to everybody on my team. But because my team wasn't paying attention for the moment that TVP poked me, it was able to deal 1,300 damage in around 5 seconds and back in the cover completely unscathed apart from the one 300 damage shot I fired into his tank. That is why autoloaders are broken, and why the autoloading meta is complete cancer in World of Tank Splits. You don't even make a mistake, and yet you get completely punished for something that you had absolutely no influence over. Now, in the end of this game, we were still able to deal a pretty solid chunk of damage. I was able to get 4,400 out, and the enemy TVP turned out to be quite a not skilled player at 46%. But at the end of the day, you can't predict stupid, and when an autoloader decides to drive right over the ridge that no skilled player would ever do, they get away with it. Up against me are two enemy TVP 50-51s, and yeah, they have a potential damage of 2,000. This battle is another perfect example of how autoloaders destroy any aspect of actually being skilled. Up against us, we have two TVP 50-51s, a Foch 155 and an AMX 50B. Yes, that is right, 4 out of the 7 tanks on their team feature autoloaders. Yeah, that sounds very fun. Okay, I'm going to put my heavy tank in a fairly normal spot. I'm going to drive somewhat aggressive on Yukon, but nothing over aggressive. I'm going to put my tank directly on my side of the map, just parallel to where the 113's going. I feel like this spot is pretty okay. I'm going to aim in a shell on the 113. Not a great shot for me, I'll be honest. It goes a little high. Okay, so I bleed some health from the 113. And what? Oh yeah, that's right. The enemy TVPs decided to YOLO A in mediums. On a map that you're supposed to go D side with a medium like mine did, these two TVPs have completely gotten away with going towards A side. And my Hess shell misses, and look at that. I am now completely dead. A 50B was able to shoot me in the rear, 730, because it's an autoloader, and it gets away with, you know, just completely driving out in the open because nobody on my team punishes him. And then the TVP over here, completely just unpunished out in the open, gets to shoot me. The other TVP takes another 500 off of me there. Yeah, that was real fun. Aren't autoloaders such a fun, engaging aspect into this game? All of the damage I received was from autoloaders. The only tank that I didn't receive damage from an autoloader was that T62A. Why are the mediums on heavy side? The world may never know. But just because I decided to make a slightly over-aggressive play, the same play that my WZ-113 made, and even though I'm completely covered by my entire team, I instantly die because I thought I had support. This is another fantastic example of how autoloaders completely destroyed the fun of a battle I performed in. Now, in the end of the day, again, I finished with decent stats in the 2 and 5B, 75% win rate, 3,300 average damage. But the fact that there are games like that, where there is nothing you can do in your power apart from camp in the beginning of the game, and you cannot predict which games you have to camp in apart from looking at the enemy lineup and seeing, oh, they have autoloaders, guess I can't do my job anymore in a heavy. Yeah, it's very disheartening, really. That's all it is. So, at the end of the day, autoloaders are completely broken. They have destroyed the balance of the game. This game here would never have been a win, whether or not I would have done 2,000, 3,000 damage. The enemy team didn't have a single player die, and they had over 8,500 hit points left in total on their team. Just think about that for a second. Their TVP did 2,900, their AMX 50B did 2,500, the other TVP did 2,100. Just the autoloaders combined did over 7,000 damage. The only tank that was a single shot that made it into the top 3 was the WZ-113. Overall, I believe, and it's not even really a belief at this point, it's a fact, autoloaders are destroying the balance of this game. I have 7 games that have clearly illustrated the viewpoint of how easy it is to absolutely clap on your opponents with an autoloader, and I have 2 battles showcasing what the receiving end looks like. It is an absolutely devastating situation to be stuck in. And unless you're in an autoloader, you are essentially one of the players that is just being destroyed for your enemies or your teammates' amusement. As I've said, autoloaders are an absolutely toxic playstyle for your team because you are farming off of their hard work. If I'm in a mouse and I take a shot, you're then going to poke and farm the hit points that I have tried to get myself earned. And if I'm in an autoloader, I get to ruin the fun of other players by clipping their tanks and completely punishing them for making one small misplay. Don't even get me started on the YOLOing 50Bs, YOLOing 4005s, YOLOing Karos. The list goes on and on. Wargaming, you are destroying your game. Autoloaders are making the game completely unplayable and changing the average match duration from minutes to seconds. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.